Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Got a few things for you in this video. Yesterday, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse was on TV yet again. He's been on a tear lately. He's been on CNBC and Fox Business with us just within the last 2 to 3 business days. And now, yesterday, on Bloomberg. And so he was interviewed and he was asked specifically about the recent news about Bank of America filing a patent which uses Ripple distributed ledger technology. And so I'll share with you his response on that. Also want to share with you, there was a post on Twitter by somebody, I believe it was Eric Dadoon, and it was showing, quite comically from my perspective, all of the Bitcoin forks in existence, because you don't see that on the XRP ledger, so it's just fun for me to kind of chuckle, haha, Bitcoin. All right. Not that I'm against Bitcoin, but just saying. Just all the Bitcoin maxis out there. But then Matt Hamilton, who is at Hammertoe on Twitter, jumped in because somebody was talking about XRP being centralized and things kind of, well, they kind of go downhill from there. It wasn't that bad. Sometimes these debates on Twitter get kind of ugly. This one wasn't that bad, actually. But I wanted to share it with you because it's a learning opportunity, because Hammertoe, he's one of those people that I will always say is just an absolute wealth of knowledge. There's like a handful of people that always pop in my head when I think about just their understanding of the technology behind XRP specifically. And so he gets into gateways and how they can freeze cryptocurrencies in general and this and that. And so I'm going to share all of that with you. Just consider it a learning opportunity, because as I'm reading through stuff like this, which I do quite literally on a daily basis, I always look at it as a learning opportunity. Sometimes I read stuff that's new that I was already aware of, but a lot of times I learn stuff. And that's how I came to garner as much knowledge as I currently have about XRP, but I'm always looking to learn more. Always, always, always. And then I'll close the video out with an article from CoinDesk about Justin Sun, the Tron CEO. He's got his lunch coming up with Warren Buffett. Yeah, not anymore. It's postponed. I'll tell you why shortly here. But before we get going, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, subscribe. It's the right thing to do. It's the good thing to do. It's the prudent thing to do. All right, into the content here. Now, this was late last night. I checked my phone before going to bed. Do you ever do this? And then sometimes you get your brain wired. So this tweet, looks like this tweet I was tagged in at 11:34 p.m. my time. And it's from XRP Juggernaut. And by the way, if you're watching XRP Juggernaut, I do appreciate you sending this. Thank you. And so he tagged me in this, and it was the link to somebody else's tweet, which linked to the Bloomberg video of Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse on Bloomberg yesterday, right there. And so I got to 11:34, and me being the way I am about XRP, I got all excited about it. I was like, oh my god, I want to go record a video about this. It was neat. I was like, Brad's talking about the Bank of America patent. And then I was like, no, simmer down, Matt, simmer down. It was almost midnight at that point by the time I read this. I was like, go to sleep. The story will be there in the morning. It is okay. So I did that. And here I am finally, and the story is still here nonetheless. But it was fascinating. So here's the tweet that was retweeted by XRP Juggernaut, and it states, thought you all would be interested in this too. About 12 minutes in the show, when asked about the Bank of America patent, Brad grins sheepishly and says, surprised to see it because we haven't announced anything yet. And so here is a link to the video, which I will include below. And you will have to jump forward a bit to get everything. But, first they were just talking about regular type stuff, which you'd expect. It was, stuff about Libra, this and that, and the way in which Ripple's gone to market and how they've been working with regulators as it pertains specifically to the usage of XRP within their business model, which is, of course, the responsible thing to do. I always say, hey, Ripple, they're full of all the adults in the room. That's it. Ripple is the adult. And then you've got all the crying babies, which are maximalists of various coins, Bitcoin. And that's not how Ripple behaves, though. And so that's always been fascinating to me. But then the interviewer, she said, okay, now down to another topic. Like, no big deal, just going to ask you something else. And then she's like, we got news the other day that Bank of America has filed a patent using Ripple distributed ledger technology. And before she finished that sentence, Brad Garlinghouse, you should see like the smirk on his face. He's like, okay, I know where this is going. Before she even finished asking what it was. And then he says, well, yeah, look, we're working with a lot of big banks, and I think that's well known, and we'll continue to work with a lot of big banks. And he ended up wrapping up this statement by saying, I was surprised too by that news because we haven't announced anything yet. But the way that he phrased it, you'll just have to listen to this for yourself to hear what I'm talking about. But he seemed caught off guard, not specifically by the interview question. He probably assumed that might have come up actually, but he seems like the way that he responded to it, it's like he was really, really genuinely surprised that Bank of America actually filed a patent. It made me think. This is just speculation, but I don't think Brad and the rest of the team at Ripple knew that was on the way. And how is that even possible? Because they do have existing relationships there. I mean, certainly, yes, it's possible that they knew that maybe there was some interest in filing a patent and they just didn't know that this is when it would be done. Okay, I guess it's possible too. But I'm just trying to read his physical reaction and the way... You tell me what you think. But I watched that and I thought, yeah, Brad wasn't ready for that to happen. And so... and who knows? Maybe the people at Ripple don't even know exactly what it means because the patent doesn't show exactly how they're going to apply. That is, and then you also don't know if the patent's going to get approved. But one of those patent pending situations perhaps coming up here. But nonetheless, it looks to me, and it makes me wish I had more of a law background because I don't know. I don't remember all the specifics for how to get approved for patents. It's been a while since I took that course in college. Criminology, all that good stuff. But it seems to me that, look, the Ripple distributed ledger technology, it does what it does, so they're not going to get a patent on that specifically. It looks to me that they're just trying to get a patent on something that they perceive as uniquely theirs, which happens to use that portion of the Ripple distributed ledger technology. And still, we don't know if that explicitly will use XRP. But, as far as moving money around the world promptly, that can already be done with Xcurrent and Xrapid. So what is the intent here? Because it's not simply they're gearing for an implementation explicitly of just Xcurrent and Xrapid. That's not what this is. There's something else in mind there. And I'm not saying that they would never use XRP, by the way. That's not my claim. I'm just saying that this specifically is not what that is. They're doing something else. Because if that's all they want to do and they wanted to move money more efficiently and settle more efficiently, that technology is out there. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They don't need to file a patent. So this is definitely something else. Maybe we'll find out one day. Are you curious as I am? I'm definitely very curious of that. But man, I really encourage you to watch this video because his reaction was just kind of priceless. But I seriously don't think that he knew that was coming. But on to the next piece here. Actually, I wanted to share this with you too. I didn't mention this at the beginning, but this will be real quick here. Regarding the WireX situation, for those of you that don't know, WireX, a crypto company, their CEO stated that XRP is a security, and publicly he was given some sort of, I don't know if you want to call it a speech, but he was speaking publicly at something, and he said that XRP is a security. And it's not. It's most certainly not. And it's strange to me and everybody else in the XRP community that he could say something like that when the rest of the world, that's all the non-Bitcoin maximalists anyway, seem to think the opposite. You can look at regulation even over in the UK, for example, that came out recently, where it seems like Ethereum and XRP, it's heading in that direction, where it's pretty clear that these are actual utility tokens, which is completely different than a security here. And what I find typically is the people that want to claim that XRP is a security, it's more because they're coming from an ideological bend that just won't allow anything else into their little echo chamber of Bitcoin. That's that type of garbage. But so anyway, Pavel Mativ, he's the CEO of WireX, and he tweeted out a string of 3 tweets. And I wanted to share this with you, mostly so that I could share with you Matt Hamilton's response, which I rather enjoyed reading. So, Pavel Mativ, WireX CEO, tweeted this out. The potential of crypto is limitless, but it's easy to forget that it is a new market and largely unregulated. Lack of regulatory consensus means that the asset status of tokens varies by jurisdiction. See the disparity between the SEC, the United States, and SFC, Hong Kong, definitions. According to this ambiguity, the FCA have just released a report describing how the versatile functions of tokens like Ethereum and XRP mean that they can represent multiple asset classes simultaneously. From our perspective, WireX only integrates utility tokens that have the potential to drive the mass adoption of a token economy and benefit the wider payments industry. I'll expand on this in my personal blog shortly. Okay, so I want to say one thing about this real quick here. He's talking about how cryptocurrencies can represent multiple asset classes simultaneously. So my question to you, Pavel, if you believe that, why would you explicitly state that it is one thing, a security, if you know that they can be classified as multiple things? You just said that. You represent multiple asset classes. It's because you want it to be a security. Nobody else would say it like that otherwise. Who would just flat out say it's a security and not recognize the rest of the utility portion of this or that if it's not that there's some sort of ideology behind it? That's what I would want to know. Give me an answer and I'll change my mind on that. But this is what it looks like to me, and I've seen this type of pattern from Bitcoin maximalists in general anyway. And so maybe he's not a Bitcoin maximalist, maybe he's just an anti-XRP guy. Either way, that's stupid. And so Matt Hamilton responded here, "Sorry, but your XRP is a security comment, along with the smug smirk you gave at the time, shows your true feeling. Not only are you just plain wrong, but you chose to take a dig at a large section of your customer base. I'm also shutting down my Wirex account." And a ton of people did that yesterday. I showed, to me it was comical, there's one person in particular I showed the video of, he was just cutting his Wirex card in half. That was good. It just played on loop. It was awesome. It was good times. And there are people just showing video of them deleting their Wirex apps from their iPhones and such. So that's good times. All right, on to the next piece here. This is from Eric Danoon. And he tweeted this out: "Never forget that Bitcoin has a fixed supply, except for cases where it's been forked and a new supply is created but under a different name. What is that if not printing new money?" Well, yeah, and a fair point that it is certainly printing new money, but I don't have a problem with that at all. You know, that type of argument, you know what it made me think of? And it made me think of Goldbug Peter Schiff, and that's one of the arguments he likes to make up. He goes, "They say Bitcoin has a finite supply, but what do you mean? You can fork it, and then you got a whole bunch more of a cryptocurrency. There's an unlimited supply." And I argue that that's kind of a silly point when Peter makes that argument, because if you just take a look at the crypto market caps, you can see that people actually are valuing different coins different in terms of the money they're willing to actually put into it for different reasons. And it's because they all have different attributes. And so even though everything moves in tandem with the original Bitcoin price-wise, by and large, people are beginning, a small sect of them, to parse out the differences between coins. There's just not enough people doing that to make it clear that that is occurring on any reasonable scale. But that is happening. And so, just because there's another cryptocurrency out there does nothing to do with the value of the original Bitcoin or this or that. It would be just as silly as saying, "Hey, there's Facebook out there," or what if there's MySpace first? You know, I mean, there was MySpace first. Then you say Facebook comes along. Does that devalue? Does that mean that there's an? This is probably this is not a good analogy. Maybe I should retract that before I even tried that. But the point I was going to try and make essentially is that you can have multiple different types of companies, and that. And the fact that you can have more than one competitor in space does not devalue the original competitor, but I was not artfully wording that. That's what I was trying to conceptually get at. Not the best analogy. I retract that one, but still, that's the concept that I was trying to get at anyway. But nonetheless, it's a silly point, and the market is valuing different coins differently, even if not to the degree that I would prefer anyway. But anyway, and so if you look here, and I'm going to get to Matt Hamilton's points on this because it was an interesting back and forth that he had. Not a particularly long one, but I wanted to share it. But look on my screen here if you're not driving. If you are driving, hands at 10 and 2, motorist. But if you're not, look at this. And so they mapped all these forks out, and it does kind of look like subway lines, does it not? It really does. And so you go down here, and it states, "The emergence of Bitcoin took the world by storm through its simplicity and innovation. Yet, plenty of confusion remains around the term itself. The Bitcoin blockchain, not to be confused with the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, involves a vast global network of computers operating on the same distributed database to process massive volumes of data every second. These transactions tell the network how to alter this distributed database in real time, which makes it crucial for everyone to agree on how these changes should be applied. When the community can't come to a mutual agreement on what changes or when such rule changes should take effect, it results in a blockchain fork." Indeed. And it looks hairy, does it not? And you don't see that. I wanted to point, you don't see this with the XRP ledger. You really don't. And so there's a response to this tweet from Eric Danoon by 6G_XRP, who stated, "Most certainly this is enough to be concerned, rightfully so." And then somebody named Ty responded, "Says someone promoting a worthless centralized coin. If I want, I'll use PayPal." as if PayPal is the same as XRP. Okay. So then Matt Hamilton, this is the point where he jumps in, and he states, very big difference considering PayPal can freeze and seize transactions. Transactions in XRP cannot be seized or frozen. And then somebody named Giraffe responded, except by gateways, learn your protocol. So he's saying, since gateways can freeze your XRP is freezable. And I looked at this guy, and I made sure to not follow him. I wasn't going to anyway, but he explicitly states, do not follow me. Okay, Giraffe, I will not be following you. I can follow directions. Anyway, Matt Hamilton responded, I know my protocol. That is why, unlike you, I am fully aware that gateways have nothing to do with transactions on the ledger. Gateways issue/redeem IOUs, that is all. If you are going to make a stupid assertion, make you understand what you are talking about first. I think he's trying to say make sure that you understand what you're talking about first. I'm just going to typo on Matt's part. Anyway, and then Giraffe responded, right, so if you were to use a gateway, the gateway could hold your transactions no matter the token on the network. The IOU for your transaction would be irredeemable and locked. Nice protocol, LOL. And then Matt Hamilton responds, yup, just like Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency and gateway service. And then Giraffe responds, too bad Bitcoin doesn't have gateways. And he's got the little laughy emoji because he thinks it's like this is really hilarious to him. You can tell anytime he's using that type of emoji. So he thinks it's hilarious that it's too bad that Bitcoin doesn't have the gateway. Okay, that's good times. And then Matt responds here, it does. Every exchange you use is a gateway. That's one of the reasons I want to pull this up. I'm going to read the rest of the tweet, but that's one of the reasons I want to pull this up because I think a lot of people in the XRP community, there's not a lot of clarity on what this means as it pertains to XRP and gateways and other cryptocurrencies and gateways. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to read through this because I haven't really covered that on this channel ever anyway. But anyway, so here's the tweet again. Let me start over. It does. Every exchange you use is a gateway. How do you think most people buy their Bitcoin in the first place? The only difference is the XRP ledger is decentralized as opposed to centralized exchanges. And that's a very valid point there. That's why do you think everybody always says, don't keep your cryptocurrencies on exchanges? Have you ever heard that? It's because exchanges can freeze it or just they can suspend transactions. They can do all sorts of stuff. They can be nefarious and take your XRP because it's in their wallet after all. But they absolutely can freeze. It's not just XRP; it's Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies as well. And so it seems disingenuous for anyone to say, "Hey, XRP can be frozen," when it's really just the gateway doing it. XRP. There's no way for Ripple itself to freeze XRP. And this type of FUD was heavy in late 2017 when I got in. And I remember first reading it when I was brand new. I was like, "Wait a minute, Ripple can freeze XRP," and I became alarmed. And I was probably in crypto for I don't know, it was a week or two when I first read that. And I was like, that doesn't sound very good. What is this? And then I had to dig into it. And it's hard to find out who's telling the honest truth on this type of stuff. And so for a while, I don't remember how long it took me to figure out, but I was concerned. I was like, what is this? I didn't know. I didn't know what the truth was. Eventually, I hunted it down, and I was like, okay, so it's just a bunch more FUD. And at that point, I had no idea the degree to which there was tribalism in the crypto world. Like, I just thought that we were all part of one big party, and it's all hunky-dory, we're all having fun here, we all think that this is world-changing technology. Oh, no. That was definitely not it. Humans being humans, tribalism abound. So yeah, that I got quite the fun crash course into the the tribalism of crypto communities as soon as I entered late 2017. But anyway, so Giraffe responded to that, and he wrote bad take, and that's it. And then Matt Hamilton responded, I am trying to educate you here, take it or leave it. Giraffe responded, and this is the end of it. Leaving it, no need to continue. Good luck on your investment. Okay. So, not rude, but this is a closed-minded individual that is just rejecting facts. And you do see this time and again when people as intelligent and well-informed as Matt Hamilton just lay down facts about XRP and cryptocurrency at large. If it doesn't fit the narrative of the opposing individual, it's just flat-out rejected. But what I love about this is everybody that's reading through this gets to see that. And so to me, when people are debating on Twitter, I don't care if Matt Hamilton ever changes Giraffe's point of view. It doesn't matter. That's not where the value comes in. The value is that the rest of the people get to see it, and they also see how close-minded and ridiculous Giraffe is when there's a back and forth like this. And so that's why it's best to say, if you're ever wrong, this is just good advice in general. Take it to me. I've been here 36 years on this planet. My advice is, If you're wrong, just be humble about it and admit it. Say, okay, yeah, I didn't have that piece of information. I've now changed my mind. People will like you a lot more if you do that. Don't dig in, because when you dig in like this, people can see it and they think you look ridiculous and you're disingenuous, and it makes them trust you less. And that's what this person's doing, and I see it time and again, just in not just in crypto, I see it in life in general, and it's just not an attractive trait. So that's why, and I've done that in the past, admittedly, but mostly when I was younger. At this point, I've grown up enough where I'm just like, oh yeah, I approach the world differently. It's like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay, let's move on. Not a big deal. I don't know everything. I'm not a know-it-all. I don't have an ego, But some of these people do have egos, and some of these people will never admit they're wrong, and it just looks silly. So I thought I'd point that out anyway. But last thing I want to cover, and that was it for the XRP news, so if you want to stick around, I would love to keep having you here. I just got one short piece I want to share with you from CoinDesk, because I have covered this. And a quick synopsis of what's going on here. Probably everybody knows it at this point, but just in case, the little short backstory is Justin Sun, the founder of Tron cryptocurrency. He donated about $4.5 million to a charity run by Warren Buffett. And one of the things you get as a perk is you once you donate to the charity, you get to have a lunch. If you're the individual that donated the most money to the charity, you get to have a lunch with Warren Buffett. And you can invite some friends, whatever it is. I can't remember the limit. May have been 7 or I can't remember. Something like that. It doesn't matter. But anyway, here's the piece from CoinDesk. Tron founder Justin Sun postpones lunch with Warren Buffett. I was like, what the heck's going on here? And this thing is so short, I will read the whole thing. It's super duper short. Justin Sun's hotly anticipated lunch with billionaire investor Warren Buffett has been postponed, the Tron founder announced Monday. Sun has fallen ill with kidney stones, the foundation said on Twitter. The parties have agreed to reschedule at a later date. The lunch, scheduled for July 25th, was the prize for winning a charity auction. Sun bid $4.6 million earlier this year and seemingly intended to introduce the notoriously crypto-skeptical Buffett to a number of influential figures in the space. As of Monday, Sun had lined up Circle's Jeremy Allaire, Huobi's Chris Lee, eToro's Yoni Assia, and Litecoin creator Charlie Lee to join him. The specific subjects to be discussed during the steak meal were not disclosed, however. Buffett has famously called Bitcoin rat poison squared and made a number of other unflattering remarks about cryptocurrencies. Sun, himself a controversial figure, is the creator of the Tron cryptocurrency and head of its namesake foundation. He convinced Buffett to move the charity lunch from its traditional New York location to Silicon Valley. And that piece I didn't know until this article. So normally New York, actually moved it to Silicon Valley. I wonder why Buffett was willing to do that, but that's pretty cool of him if he was nice enough to actually move it, because then he's got a trek out there. Okay. Nice stuff there. So I hope that this really does get rescheduled, especially since he spent $4.6 million. I know it was a charitable contribution, but as I was reading through this, I was like, because they said that they're going to be discussed during a steak meal, I was like, $4.6 million steak. All right. I know, I'm just kidding. No, I know it's for charity and it's a great cause. So that is good. It really is. But anyway, that's all I got for you in this particular video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!